When we think about human life, one of the most important things is also one of the most neglected, and that is the ability to know yourself and control yourself. We spend so much time noticing other people, reacting to what is happening around us, and trying to understand the world. But we rarely stop to look inside. Most of us don't ask simple but important questions, like, who am I becoming? What is shaping my character? What habits are building me up? And what habits are building me back or holding me back? Yet, a person who never reflects on themselves will eventually struggle to understand life properly, because how clearly you see the world depends on how clearly you see yourself. Human beings are not simple. A person can be kind and selfish, brave and afraid, honest and dishonest, and sometimes even within the same day. If you think about it, you probably see this in yourself too. One moment you feel confident, the next moment you doubt yourself. One moment you want to do the right thing, and another moment you feel pulled in another direction. Even if something as simple as your phone shows this, what starts as just a quick check can easily turn into losing 20 or 30 minutes without noticing. These contradictions don't necessarily make us bad or good in a simple way. They show that being human is complex, and within every person, there's both the potential to rise very high and the risk of falling very low, which is why knowing yourself is not optional, it is a necessity. There's a very simple sentence from Socrates that captures this. It's know yourself. It sounds simple, but it is actually a lifelong journey. Because when you start to understand yourself honestly, you don't just understand your own thoughts, you start to understand your direction in life. But today, many people are far from this idea. We are constantly distracted, always connected, always scrolling, always reacting to something new, but not really reflecting. You sit down for a minute to rest, open your phone just for a second, and suddenly time disappears. And when a person stops reflecting, life becomes even more shallow, even if they are very busy. One of the strongest facts of life is renewal. Everything that stops renewing itself slowly weakens. We see this clearly in nature. Every spring, the world feels like it is starting again. Trees grow new leaves, the ground comes back to life, and everything is refreshed. It is as if nature is reminding us that life is not meant to stay frozen. It is meant to keep growing and renewing itself. Human beings are the same. Our thoughts, habits, and character also need renewal. If a person stops growing mentally and spiritually, they don't collapse immediately, but over time they become fixed, rigid, and stuck. But renewal does not mean changing who you are or copying trends. Real renewal means keeping your core values while improving your understanding, your behavior, and your direction in life. It is basically becoming a better version of yourself without becoming someone else. You stay rooted, but you grow. This is especially important for young people because youth is not just a stage in life. It is a time where your habits and direction are being formed. Even small things matter more than you think. How you use your time, how much you scroll on your phone, what you pay attention to every day, these slowly shape your character. You may not notice it in the moment, but over time it becomes your lifestyle. It becomes a part of you. This is why religious camps are important. They are not just about activities or spending time together. They are about stepping away from constant distraction and entering a space where you can actually think, reflect, and grow. In normal life, it's easy to lose hours without realizing it, switching between apps, videos, and notifications, and ending the day feeling like nothing really stayed with you. But in camps, you start to slow down internally. You are not just consuming life, you are actually living it. In a camp, you don't just meet people. You learn how to build meaning with people. You don't just spend time, you gain new perspectives. But the benefit depends on how you approach it. If you come with openness, you learn. If you come with reflection, you grow. If you come with intention, you change. Because two people can experience the same environment but walk away with completely different results, depending on how present they were. Another important point is sincerity. Sometimes people feel like they need to hide who they are or act differently to fit in. But real strength is not in hiding yourself or your identity. It is in being sincere while also being respectful. You should be clear about your values, but also respectful toward others. When people see sincerity, they trust you. When they see confusion or forced behavior, they distance themselves. History shows us something very clear. Societies grow when they renew themselves from within, and they decline when they stop questioning themselves. When people become satisfied with what they already know and stop trying to improve, they start to decline, and it begins quietly. Real progress is never just an imitation. It is reflection, correction, and growth from within. Today, we live in a time where knowledge is changing faster than ever. It's as accessible as ever, and science and technology are advancing every day, and things we once thought were fixed are constantly being updated. This reminds us that knowledge is never complete. There's always more to learn, more to discover, always more to understand, but knowledge alone in and itself is not enough. Without reflection, knowledge becomes confusion. Without direction and purpose, progress becomes directionless. That is why real education is not just about collecting information like a database, but about building awareness, character, and responsibility. And in life, growth is not always comfortable. Often the most important development comes through struggle, patience, and difficulty. The strongest people are not those who never face problems, but those who keep going through them and still trying to improve themselves. This is why environments like camps matter. They bring people together in a shared space of learning, reflection, and connection. When young people come together with a shared purpose, with a shared community, something powerful happens. They don't just grow individually, they grow together. They begin to build a shared sense of direction and meaning. And at the end of the day, everything in life points toward one truth: renewal. Nature renews itself, knowledge renews itself, and human beings are also meant to renew themselves. So the real question is not whether change will happen, because it eventually will. The real question is whether we will consciously take part in that renewal. We have to make that choice. A generation that knows itself, reflects on itself, renews itself, and stays sincere does not get lost with time. It becomes even more stable, meaningful, and stronger in character. And as you go through experiences like a camp, the most important thing is not just to attend it, but to actually live it, to think about it and let it shape you. Because what you become in moments like these is what you carry for the rest of your life.